linguistic and Russian area studies. He has lived extensively in Russia and Ukraine and has been known to swear profusely and constantly in Russia. Welcome, our next speaker.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Hello, Huntsville. So, my talk today is on PlagueScanner. So this is a personal project that I've been working on. And so I hope to basically bring a problem and also bring a solution. So she's covered who I am, but this is my contact info, email address for the project, and also my Twitter handle. You can reach me on there either way. Talk to me about PlagueScanner if you like, or anything like that. Speak Russian, send me swear words in Russian that I don't know. But the problem is you have an unknown binary. So let's say one of your employees at your company gets phished. You have, possibly a pen tester is sending that, or it could be APT. It could just be, a regular phishing attack. But many of these attacks use some sort of bait in the phishing attack, where it's something that is related to your company or something related to what you're doing. It may even be data that you would not want to have get out into the world. So what do you do with this binary? You want to have as many scans as possible to understand what it is, to sort of begin the analysis process. So this is the main problem that I'm trying to solve with PlagueScanner. So the first solution that you could have is to upload the binary to an online multiple AV scanner site, and there's a number of them, a couple of them very big, and I'm actually aiming to have in my project the same number of scanners that are in the main the famous online sites.
Irish Turbo.
Nibalta. So the second solution that you could have is to purchase an on-premise multiple AV scanner system. I have worked with the only one that I think is basically a viable one, and it is extremely, extremely expensive. It's out of the league of any small to medium business. You wouldn't be able to afford that type of software. So it's really out of the range of the type of analysts and researchers that I'm aiming this project to. So the third solution is what I've come up with, and this is to create an open source multiple AV scanner framework and share it with the world. And since the last time I've given this talk at ShmooCon, I've actually got some source code that I'll be releasing, and I've got a demo at the end so it can give you a little taste of what it can do. So where did this come from? So some of us might know this bar. This is Shutters. This is at the Rio in Las Vegas, and this 2 years ago at this bar, this is where the idea for this project came from. And I was sitting there speaking with a couple of engineers from different companies that do open source intelligence and other things. And we were talking about different tools that are available, stuff like Cuckoo Sandbox, and Cuckoo Sandbox is an open source sandbox software. Thug, which is a low interaction HoneyNet client, and that's something that you would go to a website and you would visit, and it pretends to be a browser, and it pretends to have different versions of Java, pretends to have different versions of Flash, and then it tries to get the malicious payload from a drive-by or a website that's malicious. So these are some major open source projects that solve very specific problems in malware analysis and data collection. So I was thinking to myself, and I'm talking to people over a few alcoholic drinks, of why isn't there an open source AV scanner framework? Why is it that there's only the major ones that are online, and then this super expensive closed source one? And I think one of the reasons why is you have most people who are involved with open source software tend to distance themselves from closed source software and proprietary commercial software, and this sort of system is basically a set of open source code that binds together a very large number of proprietary pieces of software. So it's not exactly a realm that most of the open source gurus and people who focus on that would gravitate towards. So, but I need to solve a problem that I have, and also just to go back to the original problem. I ran into a lot of people at my last talk at ShmooCon who actually had the flip side of my problem. So my problem was, as a defender, I don't want to reveal information about a phishing attack against my company, but you also have attackers who are white hat pen testers who may be building a payload that they want to use against one of their clients, and they also don't want to upload that to VirusTotal to give away what they're going to do, but they want to submit their payload against a large set of AV scanners over and over until it doesn't get detected. And that sort of activity you can't do with the online ones. So it's sort of the flip side of what my problem was, but it's the exact same problem essentially. So PlagueScanner's basic components. So the full PlagueScanner is fairly complex, but it's also very, very simple as far as engineering is concerned. So it's all built on Python. I've tried to make as many parts as possible Python 3. So it's prepared for the future. I love Python 3, by the way. And it uses the YAPC plugin system. So this is actually a system which I learned about through another open source project which does malware analysis called Mastiff. And Mastiff is a static analysis framework. So you have a lot of static analysis tools, and it basically glues them all together so that you can have one report from a whole large set of tools. And so my project is very similar, except that the tools that I'm running things against are AV scanner engines. So the component that connects all of the different AV scanners to the core is 0MQ, which is a message queuing system. You may have heard of RabbitMQ. This is a similar, it solves a similar problem. I prefer 0MQ because it is a little bit better engineered, I think, and cleaner and easier to use. I have just, actually last night, added VirtualBox to the capabilities for virtualization. I was up pretty late in adding that in there. So it not only supports QEMU, but we also support VirtualBox now. And the reason I chose QEMU for the first iteration of the project was the KSM memory deduplication. So this concept is common in virtualization software, where if you have 2 VMs or 3 VMs or 10 VMs, they each have like a set of memory pages that the host has to maintain. So if you have the same operating system running on these VMs, the host virtualization software will deduplicate those memory pages so that you only have one memory page that's serving X number of VMs. So you're very conservative on memory. VirtualBox also, I'll go into, has a similar system. However, unfortunately, for some reason, it's not available on Mac. It's only available on Linux and Windows. Why? I don't know. Probably something to do with Mac and licensing. Maybe, I don't know. But I also use the Pillow Python image library. This is a fork of PIL, P-I-L, and I use this to do screenshots. And also, I use Tesseract OCR, and we'll go into why Tesseract OCR is important later. But the output is JSON, and there's an optional output for Elasticsearch so that you can keep your old reports and do statistics and big data. So what do you bring? You bring the scanners. So most virus scanning engines are closed source commercial products. So therefore, buying and installing it properly is up to you. You decide how you pay for it. It needs to be paid for properly. I am not involved with that. Same thing with the Windows licenses. You have to bring all the closed source software to this. And then my goal is to have all of them, all of the AV scanners, all of them. So I bring the plugins, and the goal of the project is to have a plugin available that will allow integration of all AV scanner engines. For our demo today, I've picked 3 that are one of each type of AV scanner. And the types of AV scanner engines are open source. There's one Clam AV that we're all familiar with, and we'll see that in action today. Another type is a Linux version, which is available. So any of the scanners that have a Linux version, it makes it very easy to use the command line version of that scanner and get the data out of it. There's also some that are Windows only. It's good for some of them that have command line interface in either DOS or I can access it in PowerShell. Those are good. They're in they're edging towards the more difficult to work with. And then there are the ones that only have a GUI in Windows, and those are the worst and the most difficult to work with. But I'm prepared for each type. So that's why optical character recognition. So if there's a Windows-only scanner that doesn't have a GUI, what I do is run the malware through that scanner and then take a screenshot of whatever pop-up or whatever report or anything like that, and then take that screenshot, run it through OCR, and then pull that data out, put it into the JSON file, and you get the same results. So how is this architected? So it's pretty simple architecture. I have the core, which is the submission processing reporting area with the optional Elasticsearch output, the message queue here in the center, and then the different VMs, and each VM has an agent in them, which wrangles the tasks that need to happen in each one of those VMs. So my initial idea was to, in the final product of PlagueScanner, have the agents be dumb. So the reason for this is to make installation of and setup of those VMs easier on the end user. You don't have to remember, oh, this is an agent for XYZ scanner, and this is an agent for ABC scanner, which one goes where. You just install the same agent on each one of the VMs, and then the message queue delivers the code that decides what to do with a particular scanner. So all you have to remember is to put into the config file which of these VMs is which, and then that would decide what code gets sent out on the message with the payload to be scanned. So this actually leads me to a couple of development lessons that I've learned. So when you are developing something to be a dumb agent, so the dumb agent doesn't have any knowledge of its environment. It only knows to receive a message and then to run the code that it receives in the message. So that architecture is actually very difficult to develop for, because you're kind of firing something off and then seeing if something happens correctly, and then firing something off to see if something happens correctly. So you don't have the access on the VM where you're running the scanner, and you don't have access to rapidly look and shake out all of your bugs. So what I'll show you now is there's a REST API version of it, and so these are basically the code that runs for the AV scanner is inside of the agent for development purposes, and then when it works, then I can write a YAPC plugin for it and send it to the dumb agents. So some of the cool features of this project. So it has kernel same page merging, KSM, and like I said, this allows many VMs to share memory pages. And then VirtualBox's version of this capability is called Page Fusion. 0MQ, as I mentioned earlier, is a very fast message queuing system. And Elasticsearch, I don't know if everyone here has heard of Elasticsearch and the ELK stack. It's really awesome. It it shortens the time from collecting data to analyzing it. You don't actually have to wrangle and think about what to do in between and where to put it and how to work with it. It makes it very, very easy to work with large data sets. So there are a few open issues in the project at the moment. So OCR is not working to 100%, so we're not actually going to see that in the demo. Daemonization is something I really need to work on. So the core, so the core, I would like to have a long-running daemon, which you could submit things to and then have things submitted out instead of a set of scripts that run the core. I'm also, right now, there's no scanner updating. It's all done either manually or for whatever automated updating you have for that particular scanner package. So scanner updating is a lot like herding cats because each scanner wants to do something different. So that's something I need to think out and put something in there that makes it a little bit easier for the end user to update the scanners. I'd also like to include resubmission automation. And the reason for this is, let's say I get a binary and it has a 0 detection ratio. So none of the scanners detected it, but it's important for me to find out more data about this particular binary. So I want to automate it being resubmitted to the system so that I can have some sort of monitoring for when it does get detected, then I can be alerted. So it would just continuously be resubmitted at a certain period of time that you could set in the config file. I also would like to include HP feeds in the project. So if you're not familiar with HP feeds, it's a publish-subscribe algorithm, protocol, which is from the HoneyNet project. And many of the HoneyNet project sandboxes and other systems use this so that you can share the data that's coming out of your sensors, and you can share them with each other, with other threat researchers. You can share them with a central location, and it would make it really easy to gather data from many different instances of PlagueScanner. I also need to develop some better AV vendor relationships because some of the AVs are difficult to work with, and I'd love to meet some people that work at AV scanner companies. If anyone is from one, I want to talk to you after the talk. And then also money, if you want to cut me a check, that'd be awesome. So.
You're just doing this on your own?
Yeah, this is all on my own. Yeah, I work on this late at night. So let's do a demo. So these are the agents. So this is actually the agent that's a REST API based agent. So it's pretty simple, very clean. It runs the AV scanner, parses the results depending on what that particular engine has. So I have different regexes depending on which scanner is which. This is the one for CLAM AV. This is the one. This is the one for ESET. These two, CLAM AV, ESET, they work very well. Then this third one is the one that I put in here because this one is a beast, and that's not a compliment. So this is the Trend Micro command line scanner, and it is wonky. I haven't actually seen it detect much yet, which we will see here. So this is the VM for the Trend Micro scanner. It's a little bit more complex than the other scanners as far as like what you have to do. So I also have Process Hacker here just so that we can see when the binary is being processed by the AV scanner. And these are the other ones. So this is the CLAM agent, and this one is the ESET agent. And I've queued up a few files and samples for us to run through it. So it's submitting to CLAM first, and then it submits to ESET. Both of them are very fast. And then Trend Micro doesn't find anything. and then back to clam. And so this is actually the raw output from each one of those agents. The final product is going to be a single JSON file composed of each one of these entries. So, for example, this is the first binary. So all of these, by the way, these are the 0311. These are the Adobe exploit that was patched, I think, 3 or 4 days ago. So I have five samples of this that we found in the wild. If anyone wants a copy of them, I might give them to you after the talk. They're pretty interesting. So I'll let this run. Got one more.
Is your plan to have the tools be an inline tool? Do you think it might at some point have some sort of GUI or?
Yes. So I definitely want it to have a GUI. Yeah, I want it to have a GUI, but at the moment I'm more concerned with getting the underlying engine working. That this last one, it makes that choke. But I also would like to have something that just clicks any buttons that pop up. That would be very helpful. But this one will come up in a minute. And
why did you? So you just like Python? Is that why you chose Python?
Python is great for Python's great for rapid development and prototyping. It makes it really easy. I can hook into just about anything. You know, it's like a Swiss Army knife. And that last part.
Integrate it with other languages too. You can integrate it with other languages too.
Yeah, just about any language you could possibly think of. Yeah. And so that last one, there's something wonky about this last sample. I'd actually like to go dig into it a little further, reverse engineer it, see what's happening. But they're all of these are the same. All these are the same family, and they all came in they all came in the past few days. Let me just change one thing so that we get a different sample set. This one is interesting. This is actually the what's known as the unicorn. I don't know if you've heard of this vulnerability. So the unicorn vulnerability was discovered by the threat researchers at IBM, and it actually it exploits a vulnerability in OLE auth32.dll, which is loaded into many things. And this particular exploit works all the way back to Windows 95. So it's a pretty interesting one. ClamAV didn't find anything. Trend Micro again didn't find anything. ESET nailed it. Didn't tell me what it is though, but it's pretty interesting that it went through there. So what I also wanted to show you is, so once you have the data about this, I will move back to my presentation. So now I moved on to my shameless plug. So I work at Threat Connect, which is a really awesome place to work. I'm new there as of the past couple of months, but it's a free threat intel sharing platform. So anyone can get an account. Not quite anyone. If you're coming from an email address in China, we might not give you an account. Russia, that sort of thing. But anyone that's a threat researcher, feel free to get a free account. Come in there and you can collaborate with me, and I'll show you after this if you have any questions about all this, and I'm going to give you a little demo of putting data into the threat intel platform.
What is that?
That's platypus.
So that was what I was going to say. This is Utkonos. So in Russian, the duck-billed platypus is Utkonos, and Utka is duck. So duck, and then nos, so duck nose. Any questions?
Can you tell us a little more about Threat Connect? I'm curious.
Sure. So
When did you just started there?
yeah, I started there in November. It's a great place to work, and I'll just show you what it can do. So if you have like the MD5 of the unicorn, which we saw just a minute ago, This is actually analysis that I had worked on myself, and so you can take any indicator, an indicator of compromise such as MD5, an IP address, a domain name, and you can search for it in here, and then you'll see the analysis that we have.
So you've got a database behind it.
Network.
Where are you located?
We're in Arlington. The network. So, well.
But so yeah, you've got a database in the background.
Yeah. So essentially, there's a database, and there's a lot of different data coming in from people's endpoints and researchers putting their data in there, and then there's also.
So, like, what kind of if I signed up for an account, what would you expect me to put in there? Like, what do people put in there?
So if you find malware and you have you've sandboxed it, or if you've reverse engineered it, and you can pull out IP addresses, and what the beauty of the system is, you can put in an indicator, and then you can pivot off of that indicator, and you can see other attacks that use that particular domain name or that IP address, and you could see which adversary groups are using certain resources on the internet, and you might be able to predict that this particular new piece of malware uses a similar domain name or near or a domain provider registrar as another, right? And so
everybody's sharing information on the site. Like if I put something up there, I could see whether anyone else found it.
Where are you releasing the source code at?
It's going to be on GitHub, and it's GitHub, and it's Utkonos /PlagueScanner. So
we're actually in the middle of building an AD evasion lab, so that'd be perfect.
Yeah. Hey, and that was like the need that I didn't really think about until I went to ShmooCon, and some of the guys from Veil Framework were like, "Man, we were going to actually make something like that, but now we're not. You are."
Yeah.
You have agents for McAfee and Symantec.
Yeah, right now I have in various states of working and not about 15, and I chose these 3 because they work the best and they're fully functional at the moment. But yeah, I mean, I'm aiming for probably getting about 20 to 30 as soon as I possibly can the next couple of weeks. So Nessus is a little bit different. Nessus is not necessarily a AV scanner. So Nessus requires you to upload your own signatures or their signatures. So it's not something that I would be aiming to put into this. And it's also a bit too expensive.
Right, it's very expensive.
Like on the McAfee and Symantec ones, right? Are those you're able to use the command line scanners?
Yeah, most of the major scanners do have a GUI component. That one of the problems that I've had is some of the major ones, the GUI comes with the business class version of it rather than the consumer grade one. That's also why I want to build in the fully functioning OCR, so that the stuff that's the consumer grade that doesn't have a CLI will still be able to be used with the framework.
What's with the Russian originally, or you just got interested in Russian?
No, I've been interested in Russian for a long time. I lived in St. Petersburg. I lived in Ukraine. I studied Russian in college. I have a minor in Russian and linguistics. So I actually studied at St. Petersburg State University in Russia also. All right. So thank you, everybody. I'd love to give you a little bit more demo on this, but I think the network is
Thank you so much, Rob. We appreciate your volunteering for us for the BSides.